We have big news from the provincial government. Since the beginning of this year has been updating their housing plan. They've named it Homes for People. There have been a number of policy updates, which includes rent caps below inflation, introducing the empty homes tax, the removal of strata rental restrictions, introducing the 3-day cooling off period for home buyers, committing $500 million into not-for-profit affordable housing, creating new streamlined provincial permitting processes, which includes the riparian contaminated sites. Anything that requires provincial approvals will now be streamlined, separate from your city building permit approvals. Renters tax credit of $400 per year, grandfathering some restrictions for 55 plus communities, which allow for future children to move in, spouses and adult children, even if they're under 55 years old. The removal of ability to rent out short-term Airbnbs. Then 2 weeks ago, the multi-unit housing on all single-family lots across BC. What we saw on Wednesday, which is minimum density requirements for all cities within 800 meters of SkyTrain and major bus interchanges. And then what we expect to be coming down the pipeline is additional density on major corridors. That announcement has not been made yet, and we have heard from back channels that that will be coming. The multi-unit housing is important to understand and will follow similar guidelines that the Vancouver multiplexes currently allow for. As we talk about in the Valuing Property with Development Potential course, there will be some increases in values for multi-units, but it will not be for all single-family lots. We expect it only to be the best properties close to transit, close to retail, that will be purchased at a premium by developers. There's just going to be too much change all at once to increase values across every property in BC. The purpose of this call today is the minimum density requires within 800 meters of SkyTrain. Important dates. So we'll send you these slides. These are important dates for you and your clients to be aware of. First is December 2023. This year, we will have full provincial policy guidelines. The announcements to date have been high-level announcements with future details to come in December of this year that will outline specifically how the cities are meant to implement what they're announcing. There'll be two deadlines after that. June 2024 will be the deadline for the city to update their zoning bylaws. This will include updating the zoning bylaws for multi-unit housing on single-family lots. It will also include the zoning bylaw updates for the density within 800 meters of SkyTrain and potentially the transit corridors. The third deadline to make note of is December of 2025, when the city deadline is to update all official community plans. This will include medium and high density land uses in areas that are not going to be part of the zoning bylaw updates in June 2024. So all OCPs need to be updated by the end of 2025, and the specific policy updates for zoning bylaws need to be completed by June of 2024. I expect that what this province is doing is pushing the cities to make the updates by 2024, but they will not actually force every single family lot to allow for multiplexes. There is some indication that what the language states is that the cities have to update their zoning bylaws for what areas in their city they will allow for the multi-unit housing, but it's not going to be blanketed requirement across every lot in BC. It's unclear, but that's my expectation. I think there's just going to be too much public pushback. Think about the British properties in West Vancouver. If you're putting multiplexes, I can't see the province wanting to deal with that political pushback. So here is the table. The table for within 800 meters of SkyTrain. You have two areas. You have Metro Vancouver, and then you have Victoria, Kelowna, and other medium-sized municipalities. So number one, rapid transit, 1A. Within 200 meters of SkyTrain, allowable up to 5 FSR with a minimum height of 20-story condos. Within 200 to 400 meters of SkyTrain, up to 4 FSR, 12-story minimum height requirement, high rise, mid rise again. Then within 400 to 800 meters, up to a 3 FSR, up to 8 stories as a minimum height requirement in a mid-rise development. For bus exchanges, so for example, there's a bus exchange on Hastings in Burnaby as you're getting close to the PNE. Also within 200 meters, up to a 4 FSR, 200 to 400 meters, up to a 3 FSR. You can review outside areas separate to this call if you are interested in the outer areas. This is the policy announcement for residential properties within 800 meters of rapid transit or bus exchanges. When you're considering properties to purchase yourself, to value for clients, refer back to this must-haves checklist. This is part of the valuing property with development potential course and what will be the best guideline to ensure that you're making profitable investments. If you're in Vancouver, at least a 50-foot lot. In the suburbs, 60 to 66 feet frontage, at least 120 feet of depth. Regular shaped lots are most efficient. Back lanes are extremely valuable. No creeks or significant trees. Flat land, and I define flat land as any land that has less than a 6% grade. Have a civil engineer do a high-level check. This will only be a couple $100 to review the existing or oversized services in the area. That's your sewer, water, storm, BC Hydro. For multiplexes, corner lots will be more valuable than interior lots. And then for the Vancouver multiplexes, the reminder to go look at the Vancouver plan and the distance to SkyTrain. Question is, how do we determine 800 meters from SkyTrain? So first, Google will give us, if you type into Google the SkyTrain's map here, it'll give you the locations of each SkyTrain. If you want to generally see all the potential locations that you could consider with your clients. Then go into either Autoprop or the city mapping system for each city. So for example, here is the Inlet Center SkyTrain. Ioko Road, located here. So the SkyTrain's on either side of Ioko Road. Use the measurement tool. Barnett Highway, Dewdney Trunk, it is here. It's in meters. So 400 meters, 700 meters. Here we go, 800 meters. And you can manually look at what is 800 meters. So it goes all the way out to James Road, which we're halfway in construction, but we could, I guess technically we could cancel the contracts and go back and build an 8-story building or a higher building. We won't do that due to time delays, but that's your area. 800 meters as a general ability to figure out where these changes are going to happen. So you can see here that it hits some parts of Coquitlam, Chirnside area down below Thermal Drive. You want to get into Paragon, map search criteria. So you can center your map on an address. So 130 Ioko Road, go back into Paragon, you can put 130 Ioko Road here. You can put 1 kilometer from SkyTrain to give yourself a little bit more, and it will create a circle for you. Or if you don't want to do it that way, or if that's not working, then you can always draw a radius here. You can pull off the circle so that you can see everything within the distance of SkyTrain. Draw radius. Now, if you save this search, anytime a new listing comes up, and you do that for all the SkyTrain stations, you'll be emailed all the new listings within the distance of SkyTrain station. So one of the action steps I recommend everybody do on this call after is create a save search within Paragon to automatically email you every morning any listings that come up within 800 meters of SkyTrain as potential buying opportunities. Why is this important? The values of properties within 800 meters of SkyTrain. How many of you are familiar with Coronation Park in Port Moody? Recently assembled by West Group. They bought these 62 properties next to the Inlet SkyTrain station on Guildford, Buckingham, Windsor, with the average price point being $4 million per property for a 9,300 square foot lot. That's at a 4 FSR. So a 4 FSR is $4 million divided by 9244, $432 per land square foot at a 4 FSR. A 4 FSR, again, is between 200 and 400 meters from SkyTrain under the new policy by the province. It's a 5 FSR, which means the value would be even higher if you're within 200 meters. Potentially, being within 400 meters of SkyTrain, the single family properties will go from $1.5 million to $4 million within the next 12 months. So that is the main part of the update. This will be a major increase in values for anything within 800 meters of SkyTrain. So I'll help you with the, if you are going to go prospect in these areas, I typically would open up with the line, as I'm sure you're aware, the city or the province is in the process of updating their policy for density around SkyTrains to allow for multiplexes in single family neighborhoods. Wanted to see if you had any questions that I could help you with. That's what I would open up at the door with. We work on this a lot in the academy. And I'll reinforce it here. When you're going door knocking and you're working with clients, It's a give and take relationship. As their agents, we give them information and we help them make decisions. As a potential client, the ask in return that they have from us is that they will meet with us so that we have an opportunity to earn their business, which means if a client will not meet with me, I typically will not send any of the information. The requirement for me is I will make sure you make the right decision and provide you the most value in the marketplace. In return, let's meet for an hour and talk about your plans and how we can help you the best. It's a give and take. Otherwise, you can get stuck in doing valuations and sending information out to people who will never meet with you and then end up listing with their cousin when it comes time to actually selling. Give and take relationship. We help you with the information. You agree to a meeting so that I have the opportunity to earn your business. Whether that's today or in the future, it's okay. The requirement is a meeting. You might not want to sell for 2 to 3 years, but I will still help you today as long as you're willing to meet with me. When you're working with sellers that have property with development potential, even if they're a year out, the best way to move forward is to get an exclusive listing contract signed with them. It does not require a price, and you can advise them that over the next year, you'll work together with them to ensure the density is the highest it can be. You'll start coordinating with their neighbors. And then once you get the site fully assembled, then you'll come back to them with pricing. Obviously, if they don't like the pricing, you can cancel the agreement, but at least having that exclusive lets you know that you're going to move forward in that block with confidence and that you're not going to be doing all the work to get the neighbors together and then ultimately lose out when it comes time to signing with an agent. There's a lot of time that can be wasted in the land assembly and land development side of the business. Even better than that is like Lex sold 6 lots to Polygon late last year, and it was anchored by a client that was going to sell regardless. Whether the development potential came through and they sold as an assembly, or if they ended up just selling on their own on the MLS, they had high enough motivation that they wanted to move regardless of what the pricing was, which is the best case scenario, because if assembly doesn't come together, then you at least still have a client that you can help move on and you haven't completely burnt all the time in that area. Thank you all for being part of Laidler Academy. Thank you for all for investing into our company as we grow. I appreciate all of your trust. And as more updates come out, I'll ensure to keep you all updated. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'll try and get group updates as time goes on as well.